How are we going to do the intro? Oh, I guess we're live now.
So there you go.
I guess there goes the intro. Oh God, we're amateurs. Hey everybody, it's Tangbrolios again, episode 3. We started a whole new channel. We didn't really know where we were going to go in the beginning, but we decided to branch it off and kind of get a little more organized. We upped the budget. So we're going to have...
It went from free to even more free.
Exactly. Awesome. Free is good. We're getting a little more organized. For example, we've got playlists that we're going to start showing our personal match videos if you want to see what we're doing at our local matches. If we want to do individual reviews, like Wyatt, for example, is a Springer Precision sponsored shooter. If he wants to talk about some of their products, he can post some videos under the reviews. As well as if there's related videos to the show, we can post them in that playlist. For example, I'll put some analysis videos about what I'm going to talk about later in that playlist, and you'll see that. Especially dry fire stuff. We all do individual dry fire plans, and if we want to come up with a little video talking about a certain thing we dry fire on that we want to share, we can clean it up a little bit like that. So even though this is episode 3, this is the first episode on our new Tangbrolio YouTube page. So what we're going to talk about today is when we get home from a match, what we decide to work on and how we decide that. When we mess up in a match, there's a lot of obvious reasons, you know. Little things like, oh, my reload sucked, you know, I can go work on reloads. My points, you know, were really awful, I need to work on my accuracy, my sight picture. My stage plan was awful. Those are all pretty common things, but once you get to a higher level, you start to nitpick the minor things. And one of the things that really helps me is an app that I want to talk about called Max Michel's Shot Coach app. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share here. Okay. You guys see my screen?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. So the Max Michel Shot Coach app, do you guys know if that's available on Android or only on the iPhones?
It's available on Android.
Okay, perfect. I've only used it on the iPhone. It's a paid app. It runs roughly about $5-6, and I really think it's worth it. Have to say I'm a pretty technical person, but at first it was really cumbersome to use. But once you get used to it, it's a sweet program. I definitely recommend it, and this is how I use it. Okay, so there's a buddy of mine, Kenny. He's shooting single stack, and him and I kind of go at it, and I kind of use his performance as a gauge of what I'm doing. I broke down one stage, just the first 6-7 seconds of that first stage. I wanted to see where he was gaining on me and where I was screwing up, and it was a great indicator for me to look at what I was messing up, you know, for comparison. So what I did, leatherhead bullets. So what I did is I got a copy of his video and I got a copy of my video. What's great about this program is you can find out your draw to first shot. So you mark that down. So as you can see here, this green bar shows, you know, back here from when the timer started to when I broke my first shot, and it'll actually time it out for you. So for a target that close, that's about a 7-yard target, I should not have taken 1.41 seconds to break that shot. Kenny in comparison was about 1.2. So right there, I automatically know I lost 0.2 on Kenny just on the draw. By the way, in the first 7 seconds, I lost half a second to him. So there's half that time I lost already just on the draw. So one of the things I did today, I worked on breaking that shot. I set a 1-second par timer and replicated this distance and just started drawing and drawing until I could shave off that 0.2. You can also see what your splits are. That's what this purple indicator here, it shows you your time between your shots. Let's see if I can get to that. So I can see that I had a 0.2 split between these two on this target. You know, that's fairly reasonable. That's not bad. That's about a 10, 11 yard target right there. So I can see that, you know, that's not bad, 0.2 splits. I didn't do anything bad there. You can also see your transitions between targets. It took me 0.67s to go from this target to that target. I don't know, Juani, you think that's too long to go from a target there to there?
No, I think it's reasonable.
Okay. So, and that's why I need somebody else to compare to, because if I'm just looking at my own video, I don't know if that's a good transition or a bad transition. But if I look at somebody who won that stage in low cap, then I can kind of see what I did wrong compared to him. These are all the different markers that you can do. You can block out malfunctions. You can see how much time you lost on a malfunction. Like I said, the green was a stage start. You can mark out reloads. It's just a great program to tell you how long it took you to do everything. And overall, I lost 0.5 seconds within the first 6/7 of the match. Actually, I marked it out to this popper shot here. I had one makeup, so that's another 0.2 split, and that pretty much sums up. So I took an extra shot that I probably didn't need on this target, so that's 0.2, and my reload was slow, so that's the other 0.2. We're about 0.5 there. And so with this program, I was able to see where I faltered to Kenny, and now I have some things that I can work on. It's those little things that I'm working on now. My stage planning's fine. My mechanics are pretty good. It's just those minor things that add up through a stage that turn into seconds and turn into stage losses. So, anyways, that was my portion there, guys. Let me go ahead and unscreen. So, your thoughts?
So is that how you analyze other people in your after match review?
I will if I want to compare myself to them. I know Wyatt, he uses this tool for friends to kind of break down what they're doing, which I think is awesome. But for now, I've only been kind of breaking down what I'm doing in comparison to like somebody that won that stage or somebody I think I should be at their level, and see what they did right and what I did wrong. So I like I said, I just do it for personal reasons right now.
Right. Can we go with a question that Wyatt had? I think that shot coach, right? Shot coach is one of the way to review our matches. And you wanted to talk about after match review, right, Wyatt?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a valuable topic to talk about. I think that a lot of people have issues when they think about what they're going to do. They always want to practice more, but a lot of times they practice stuff that really isn't beneficial to them. So a lot of things that people really want to practice is splits. Well, okay, so you want to practice splits, but let's say that you go from a quarter-second split to a 0.2 split. Yeah, it's a little bit of time, but you're spending a lot of rounds and a lot of time to make it go from a 0.2 to a 0.25 to a 0.2, where you could be turning your transitions from a 0.5 to a 0.3. That makes sense. You're gaining a quarter second in places where if in that same amount of practice you're only gaining like 0.05 seconds. So what I do is a little different for every match. So I make a set of goals that I'm going to do at a match. I write them down in a match booklet, and then I look at those at every stage. So I have something to base that stage off of. It's kind of just a personal thing that I do. So I'll take a match notebook with me, and I'll say, okay, my goals for the day are to shoot the match clean. That's always my first goal, or it is lately. My next goal, like at my last match, was to basically, the way I worded it was just to motor on the transitions. Motoring meaning just go as fast as I humanly can on the transitions. Just because I'd noticed that was something that I really needed to work on in the last video. And the way that I knew that was I took it into Shot Coach, my previous video, and I basically just said, okay, let's average out my transitions, across the board completely for the whole match. And my transitions were a lot higher as far as time goes, so a lot slower than they had typically been in the past, comparing that to like Utah State or Idaho State, the state matches that I've shot. And so I just knew that I needed to go faster on that. And so basically what I do is I figure out what I'm going slowest at with Shot Coach, which if that's transitions, if it's wide transitions, it could be position entry, it could be stuff like that. And then I'll take that and I'll design a fake stage, quote unquote stage, in dry fire. So you can have, let's say that my issue was going from a position, like getting into position, and then going from that position to kneeling. Then I would design a stage where I'm entering a position, I go to kneeling, and then I go to one step after that. Okay, so that would be the whole stage. And then I break that into from the start position to the position entry, and then I'll do that 5 or 6 times. And then from the position entry to a kneeling, and I'll do that 5 or 6 times. And then I'll go from the kneeling to a prone 5 or 6 times. And then once I have that down, then I'll apply that all together now and see how much my time's improved compared to the beginning time. If that kind of makes sense in a weird way.
So you use
I know,
shot
you guys are
coach
looking
app
confused
to
at me,
figure
so
out
that's what I use.
So do you guys actually use Shot Timer app to figure out your split time at the match?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like the comparison I did on just this 6-second video, I thought I got blown away, just by movement. Like I said, I'll post this in the playlist after we're done with the cast here. But I really thought I lost like a second or more just on how aggressive Kenny moved. I mean, you look at the two videos, I was like, wow, I need to be more aggressive. When I actually put it on Shot Coach, it was really anticlimactic. I'm like, I only lost a half a second there, and it wasn't even on movement. It was It was point 0.2 on a draw, and it was a point 0.2 taking an extra shot. And I would not have known that had I not timed it out in Shot Coach. And so it took me in a whole different direction of my dry fire practice would have been aggressively moving, on far targets, versus just to work on my draw again, get my draw back to where it needs to be. And so, like I said, that kept me in the right places and direction that I needed to be when I could have been working on something else that that I didn't even have any issues with that match.
And another really good thing with that is you can go into iMovie or Adobe's version of iMovie. I don't know what that's called. But you can go in there and you can take your video and you can share it on the exact same screen as another person's video. So if you have a local GM, let's say, who shoots production, then you could say, okay, let's take his match video and let's go side by side the exact same time as mine. And you can really figure out, you can watch them and say, okay, I lost the time entering this position, or I lost the time on the draw, or the reloads, or the transitions. And then you could focus on those things and you could say, okay, well, here's where I'm losing the time to the best dude there. Well, let's start there. So.
Hey, Wyatt, I'd actually like to have you show me how to do that. I've seen some of that video where you've done that, and that's great because you start at the same time on the buzzard, and you can see where the other guy has progressed through the stage in real time, side by side. I'd like to see how you do that.
Yeah,
Show
I can
me
make a video for it. Yeah, I think Juanio knows how to do that actually a lot better than I do, though.
Well, Hani, you have to show me that offline.
Okay. So that's how you two guys review your matches, but I've never done that. I actually knew Shot Coach app quite a while ago. I saw somebody did it, my local shooter, and then I thought I was gonna try. Never did because it looked so complicated, and I didn't want to waste my time on it. But it's very interesting how my thought about match review is very different than you guys's, because so far, ever since I started shooting USPSA, I've never had a day that I didn't have homework. I knew every single day what I have to work on and what I need to improve on my shooting skill. So I never really needed Shot Coach yet. I'm not at the point where I need to go to that detail yet. So I don't know if I recommend to everybody because you have to pay for it to download it. And how long would it take to do all the number stuff
Once
for match video?
when you first start using it, I remember my first experience. Like I said, I'm a very technical guy. Stuff like that isn't hard for me to figure out. But the first time I used it, I was like, why did I waste $6 on this stupid program? It doesn't even work right. But after I learned how to use it, I could probably do a match stage in probably about 2 minutes. Once you learn what buttons do what, you've got to kind of go out to YouTube and read some instructional stuff at first. But yeah, you could break a stage down in about 2 minutes or so. But like I said, it's not for everybody. However, for me, I mean, I don't really analyze myself very well. So to have something like this point out, inadequacies for me, it's great.
I think it's especially important if you have someone that's better than you. Does that make sense? Like at a local level that you have access to their footage.
So why are you saying there's
side by side
better than you in Utah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, Eric. But no, but really, if you have someone who, because okay, in my local matches, there's basically Koski to compare it to, and we're neck and neck on every stage. So I'll win a stage and he'll win a stage, and so when we compare our times to each other, they're, you know what I mean? They're really similar as far as that goes. But if you had, let's say, someone who was 15% better than you, or whatever, or 20% or whatever, you could say, okay, this is where I'm really losing time to that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I see the advantage from it. When I first started out, I don't know if I would have seen as much of an advantage to it, just because it's really kind of difficult to use. And the thing is every match is different, so you don't have anything to base those transitions off of, or those splits off of, or anything off of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you know, yeah, I mean, that's perfect. That's exactly what I use it for. And, you know, I'm currently getting my butt kicked by two low cap guys, a master prod shooter and a master single stack. And so, I mean, they're definitely the bar that I've set, you know, for a comparison.
For me, I never compared my time on anything to basically non-world champions. So basically, how I do is I don't want to compare with guys who barely beat me. I want to compare my time to the world champion time. So far, I haven't been thinking that I need to program on other shooter as well. Like I wouldn't even do a my match video because I go to my practice, I go to my range, and I have my timer, and I shoot the first shot, and I see, oh, this is not fast, or not as fast as world champions. Then I work on based on their time, because there are so many benchmark drills, and their books, especially Ben Steger book, it has all the time that you should be shooting if you want to be a GM kind of thing. His drill book and such like that. So I never felt like I need to know my split time at a match because I know that I shoot similar time as practice.
Yeah. Now, when I talk about time comparison from myself to somebody else, I'm not trying to match their time. It's just kind of like an indicator that, you know, you did this crappy. You did
this
this
is what you need to work on.
Exactly, and that tells me what drill to work on. And yeah, Ben Stoger's dry fire par times as well as his live fire times that he sets. When I'm out on the range, those are definitely the times that I'm shooting for. You know, the inadequacies in you know someone's draw compared to mine, that just tells me, oh, draw, you know, work on your draw more. You know, I like I said, I drew in first shot 1.4 and Kenny's was 1.2. I didn't set the par timer to 1.2. You know, I set it to 1 second. You know, to try and break that first shot. So.
However,
then again, I mean, sorry.
I actually review most of the shooters that I shot with, not like all the shooters, but one of the good ones. Especially if I go to nationals, I want to check all the top 16 guys' videos. And if I shoot local match, there's a GM and master classes, and I want to look at their video. Not to compare my shooting ability or how fast I went or how fast they went, but I want to look at how they approached a stage, basically stage plan. And when I do match review and compare with other people, I don't compare their split time, my split time, because especially my local match, there's this GM who shoots really fast. His split is ridiculously fast, and I can't even follow it because my finger is not that fast. But sometimes, even if he shot super fast, I still beat him because I was more efficient. So it's very difficult for me to say, oh, his split is faster, so he's better than me. I can't really say that, but what I can say that is, oh, he shot this stage differently than I did. What is his mindset? And especially that GM shot way more than I did. And there's guys shot 20 years, 15 years, 5 years in my local matches. So what I try to learn comparing other shooter is their mindset and their stage breakdown, because I shot 1 year and I don't know all the targets. They're weird target presentations like Texas Star with no shoot on the side, kind of like that. And I want to know how they went, not how they can shoot well. Because if I want to compare, I want to shoot well, then I want to find the best shooter in the world.
Oh, we need to fly Eric Phil down here so he can shoot some of our stages.
Exactly. I need to fly Eric Raffel to my house and have him shoot production against me, and then I can really be the world champion. That's the goal. But I think, for me at least, when I was getting to the point that I am now, it was really helpful to see what I needed to train, just because how I train, and that just kind of made sense to me.
Yeah, like earlier on, I would say probably about a year and a half ago, my splits were zero point 0.6, and I was really focusing on splits at that time. Now I don't care. As long as I'm in the zero point 0.2 range, I don't care because I'm really not taking that long. In fact, I should probably, at this point, I'm really struggling with rushing my second sight picture, and so I need to refocus on that during some live fire practice as well. But as far as splits goes, I'm more concerned on target transition right now. That's why I'd asked you, is that terrible from that 7-8 yard target to that 10-11 yard target? Transitions I need to work on. One of the things that you guys helped me out with were wide transition. I was swinging versus coming in and indexing out. That's been a huge help. So I'm focusing more on stuff like that. And in sight picture and whatnot, but splits are kind of like a low on the priority poll, if anything, especially at the level that I'm at now. And I'm not saying I'm great, but splits just aren't that big of an issue to me.
I have an interesting story. So this year it was about April or May. So before that point, my shooting has two parts so far. Before April and after April, there was a big, huge difference. I had a big breakthrough, and the difference between the two was, so before April, I squatted with really good shooters and master class, grandmaster classes, and I could run fast, shoot fast, but I couldn't get the hits down, and I didn't have consistency, and I have one stage that's really good, and two stages that's okay, and four stages really bad. Kind of like that. I think it's a lot of people's issue. I think the reason why is because I am shooting with those good guys, so I try to catch up with their speed, but I'm not thinking about the score parts. So it was very detrimental to my shooting. I wasn't really learning from them how to shoot faster. I just shot faster. I didn't learn how to correctly shoot faster. And in April and May, I took classes from one of the best shooters in the world, 2 classes. And then after that class, I had a huge change. Because it's not because I took a class. I mean, I think it's because I took a class, but it's because the best shooters could diagnose my problems. They told me, your problem is this. You have the speed, and you can shoot accurate, you can split accurate, but your problem is discipline or efficiency, whatever they said. So I think comparing to a good shooter in my local match, who I shot with, for me it was very bad idea comparing to others. Or when I go to a match, if I change my plan or if I change my perspective or shooting ability that day because of the next guy is shooting faster or because the next guy ran faster, splits faster, then I mess up really hard because that's not my shooting ability, it's their shooting ability. So what changed myself was not really comparing with other people at all. If I compare with other people, it messed me up really hard. So what I had to do was get to know myself, get to know my ability, and then shoot in my ability. If I can shoot 20 splits in really good day, then I can only shoot up to 20 splits. I cannot shoot 14 splits because the next shooter is shooting. Even though, like I do a split video diagram and shot coach app, whatever, even if that guy shot 112 draw and I shot 150 draw, it may not matter because I may have really good grip and then the next shots will be better. Or the other guy shot really crappy 112 shot but hit a Charlie and then the shot afterwards he shot really crappy. So it's really difficult for me to judge through shot coach app, but I would rather focus on going to the range by myself and figure out what I can do.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point. I mean, one of the things that I've started doing recently along the lines is if we have we typically do a low cap squad, single stack in production. But if we've got like an open shooter with us or certain high level production shooters, I will not watch them shoot the stage, because if I do, I start getting caught up in that and I do not shoot my own game. And I'll start to shoot more Charlies because I'm trying to shoot at somebody else's speed. And yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying on there. And what's helped me out is just not even looking at other people shoot. I'll just look away or focus on my stage plan one more time while they're executing the stage.
Yeah.
I just shoot fast. That's it. I just try and shoot as fast as I can and get as good a point as I can. That's it.
You have a fast trigger finger. You do. It's pretty impressive.
I think that if you're going into that much thought, you just need to go back to the basics, and the basics are get your hits on target, get your alphas, watch your front sight, and go as fast as you can. That's it. If you're going faster than you can see your front sight, you're shooting too fast.
Yeah, and that's something I've been doing lately.
If you can go back to those basics, I'm convinced you can pretty much win or place very high at matches.
I like that idea.
That's kind of what I've been going towards. I mean, like after I got the speed, I think the speed initially was really important to get. And how I did that was I just mastered, I don't want to say mastered, but I hit the par times for all Ben Steger's drills and his dry fire drills. And then once I did that, I just tried to go back to those times and get the consistency at those times. And that just seemed to help the most.
Yeah. So, Juani, it sounds like what you do is you come up with a plan before the match, and then if you don't execute that plan at the match, that's what you work on when you're home?
Yeah. Most of the time, what I work on right now these days, like when I barely started, is different than right now, but right now is like that. If I mess up some point and I diagnose why I messed up, then I try to build consistency higher on that specific skill level. But it's very different story. When I first started shooting, I don't know, I shot like 20-something% of the match winner. I was, I didn't start like A class or B class. I made barely C class when I first started. So if I'm a C class, B class, A class, it would be different perspective. I would having different perspective to find my next homework. So when I was a C class, I have too many things to work on. It's too complicated. I can't just say, oh, I need to work on draw and reload. No, I can't say that. I have to work on everything. But what I did is my mindset was, okay, I want to improve my shooting USPSA skill. And I had to think about how can I shoot better. Basically, shoot higher hit factor is the answer. It doesn't matter you shoot more alpha or shoot really fast. It's just shooting higher hit factor. And then I thought about, what's hit factor? Is score divided by the time. So it is very good to shoot small time and higher score. But when I first started, it was very difficult for me to shoot higher score because I didn't have that many ammo and I didn't stick with one gun and stuff. I couldn't get accuracy all the time. So I decided to work on my time. But I just didn't work on my draw speed or reload speed. I try to do it faster, but what I really, really worked on really hard was my movements. So basically, moving the gun and moving your magazine when reload, everything is movement actually. Otherwise, you're shooting. So I wanted to do everything faster and try to find how can I move faster and more efficient. And the answer I found was physics. I'm a physics major, I'm a physics geek. But if I explain everything, it's kind of complicated. But basically, think like this. When you shoot, you have a platform, you have a stance, and when you reload, you have a stance. In shooting, stance is key. If you have so many different stance. Let's say when you reload, your stance changes, or when you shoot, your stance change, or when you stop while running, your stance change, right? So I started, how many stance should I have? The answer was one. I started world top shooters really, really hard. Name it, Eric Graffel, JJ Rakaza, Max Michel, whoever it is, they had one uniform stance. I'm not talking about how they're leaning or something like that. They have the same width of their pace. They're further apart from their feet, and their stance, how back is stiff or lean forward, whatever it is. I started really hard and found that there is one stance per shooter. There's sometimes who shooters have multiple stance, they tend to mess up something. They tend to have really bad accuracy when they're running or shooting on the move or standing still shooting. So what I figured out is, okay, I'm going to develop one type of stance, which is feet about shoulder, a little bit wider than shoulder length, and then my jaw or my nose line is forward in the toe. So this is where physics part kicked in. How I figured out my stance is by just drawing my center of gravity to the ground, which is here, head is the heaviest. When you shoot, your head can be lean back or lean forward or straight up. But if you draw it down, you can find where your center of gravity is on the ground. So you want that center of gravity forward than your body. So after I found that stance, I started developing how can I run fast, how can I stop fast, and how can I lean easier, kind of thing. So basically, this is the fundamental. There was a super interesting question that, what is that? I forgot the show, but Ben Steger was on the show, and then one of the questions was, how can you beat Eric Graffel?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes,
Yeah.
And Ben Steger said, Eric Graffel has the strongest fundamental.
Yep. He said that you wonder why the top 5% win 95% of the matches, and it's because they have the best fundamentals on this earth.
Yes. And what is fundamental? Your stance.
Stance,
right?
grip, trigger control.
That's true. I couldn't do trigger control that much. I didn't want to do a lot of trigger control at the time. I wanted to develop my stance, the fundamental. And after I developed my stance, everything was much easier. Aiming was easier, trigger control could be easier, and then gripping, of course, is easier if you have one uniform stance. So that's what I worked on. And then it worked really well. And that was about the time I got better in April and May. After I met JJ Rakaza, I really figured how he's not shooting. He said he shot 12,000 rounds this year, but he's doing really well. He went to second world championship a couple times and then world champion title. And I was wondering, oh, he shot 12,000 rounds? I can shoot 12,000 rounds per year. I reload now. If you buy lead bullet, it's like 6 cents per round, right? 6
Or
cents.
leatherhead bullets.
Yeah.
I had to throw it out there.
Buy leatherhead bullet, it's really cheap. So you can, like, almost anybody who can get a job, small job, part-time job, can buy 12,000 rounds, right? I'm a student. I can buy 12,000 rounds if I work. So what I tried to do was, let's dissect JJ Rakaza. And Ben Steger shot, what, 20,000? I don't know, something like that, he said. So I'm going to dissect JJ Rakaza and Ben Steger. Why? Because I saw results from 2013, 2014, World Championship, National Championship, everything. There was Eric Graffel, JJ Rakaza, Ben Steger was there on the same match. I saw their score. JJ Rakaza and Eric Graffel had similar time, maybe 2 seconds difference, something like that. And Ben Steger and Eric Graffel had almost the same points. Especially last World Championship was like that. So what do I have to do? Eric Ruffle said he shot 3 million rounds. I can't do that.
God, 3 million?
Yeah.
That's
So
250,000 a year.
So JJ said he shot 12,000 this year, and Ben Steger said I shot 20 or 30,000 rounds, something like that. Now, JJ Rakaza has the same time as Eric Rafael. Ben Steger has the same points as Eric Rafael. So if I want to be world champion and eventually beat Eric Rafael if I have to, I just gotta combine JJ Rakaza, Ben Steger.
Yeah.
And I started dissecting what JJ's training regimen is like, and I started dissecting Ben Steger's training regimen. So I'm combining those two, and so far it's working great.
Hey, Juani?
Yeah.
When you're world champion, will you still do the Tangbrolio show with us?
It depends. He's gonna have to go against me when we get to that point. So you never know.
Yep.
No, I completely agree. The only thing that I would say that's different is if you only compare their times and you don't ever go past their times, you won't ever be able to beat them. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I would caution.
Otherwise, you have to have a really good day, and they add something bad, so they go to bed.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you can just tell right off the bat right now the different goals that we have. You know, if Juani wants world champ, he's comparing himself to world champ. I just want to beat you, Kenny, so I'm focusing on Kenny right now. Oh, Kenny watching this. I'm coming for you,
I
Kenny.
completely agree with Juani. I told him multiple times I want to be national champion, world champion.
Yeah.
But we'll see if that eventually morphs into 3-gun. Never know. If there's a sponsor out there who's watching this, you never know. I could shoot 3-gun.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, I want to be a solid shooter, but I mean, my short-term goals are definitely, you know, different than what you guys are looking at right now. You know, not to say it wouldn't, you know, be nice to be, you know, top 10 at Nats or something someday, but right now I just, you know, I'm looking on the local level and competing there, because I mean, we have some really phenomenal shooters here locally, and you know, that's just kind of the bar that I'm setting right now. So.
I agree. That's probably a good place to call it a show, though, right?
Yeah, sounds good. Did you guys want to add anything else?
No.
No, I mean,
so,
shout out to
if anybody wants us to talk about something, you guys feel free to contact us through anything. Like they can message us on YouTube video, comment, whatever, or Facebook.
Yeah, add us on Facebook, add Juani on Facebook. That's how me and him met.
Yeah. And Juani, I'm going to work on my one stance because of you, buddy. One stance. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Yep. Study a lot of shooters.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, have a good one.